taking time to talk with us.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
So let's start out and tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a short biography so
Okay.
people can get to know you a little bit.
My name is Marc Roe, and I'm a lifelong Ottumwa resident, minus a year. I graduated from Ottumwa High School in '93, and when I graduated from high school, I started working at Cargill Meat Solutions. It was called Excel at the time, but and I still have a little bit of trouble saying that. But it's Cargill Meat Solutions. I worked there for about 7 years while I was going through college. I graduated from Buena Vista University with a bachelor's degree in accounting. And while I was working at Cargill Meat Solution, I was an active member of the union there for the entire time that I was there. The last few years that I was at Cargill Meat Solutions, I was also one of the union stewards there. After graduating from college, I left Cargill Meat Solutions and began working as a staff accountant at the Ottumwa Courier. Worked there for about 2 years and was promoted to the business director at the Courier, and served in that capacity for about 6 years. Concurrently, while I was doing that, I received my master's degree in accounting, and began teaching at Buena Vista University, their business and accounting program there. I was offered a promotion from the parent company of the Ottumwa Courier to go to Oklahoma to be a controller at a newspaper group down there. I spent about a year down there in that capacity, and then family issues kind of forced me to come back home. So when I got back to Iowa, I began working at Buena Vista University again as an instructor in the business and accounting program, and also as an adjunct academic advisor. So I did that for a little while, and I got the chance to go back into my field of study at a brush manufacturer in Fairfield to clean up their books in order for this sale to happen. So I did that for a couple of years, and then was lucky enough to be able to come back to Ottumwa as a chief financial officer for Tenco Industries, where I'm currently at now.
All right. And now that you're back in Ottumwa, you're running for city council.
Yes.
So why are you running for city council?
Well, first, there's a financial responsibility of the City Council, and I believe that my background is conducive to that. I've got over 15 years of experience in the accounting field, in management, and I think that those are things that are necessary for the City Council. We've got a lot of budget cuts coming in the coming years, so I think that having someone on there that has a little bit of background in that arena will be an asset to the city. Also, first and foremost, really, I guess, is I've lived in Ottumwa virtually all my life, and I feel like there's a bit of service that I can give back to the community, and this is one way that I feel that I can do that. Ottumwa has a lot of great things on the horizon. There's a lot of growth coming up. We just need some positive influence in the city to make sure that happens. We've seen a lot of divisiveness over the last several years, and we kind of need to get past that and move on in a positive and concise manner, so the city can grow the way it needs to. And I also think that one of the biggest things that makes me want to run is I believe that we need a sense of professionalism on the City Council. One of the first things that people see when they're looking to come to Ottumwa as a business, as a job seeker, media, for example, they look at the city leadership first and foremost to see kind of what the city's like. And if we don't have people that are presenting themselves, acting, speaking in a professional manner, it kind of sets a bad tone for the city. So I think that that's one of the key things that we need to adjust coming up on the City Council. And quite honestly, and you kind of notice this throughout the city of Ottumwa. You know, we have a great history in this town, but we can't live in that history. We need to set our sights to the future, and you know, I think that's one of the areas that makes me want to run for city council, is to be able to be one of the leaders that pushes us towards the future and not looking back. I mean, like I said, we have a great history in this town, but we can't focus on that. In order for us to grow, we have to focus on the future.
You mentioned this a little bit in your biography, but tell us a little bit about your past experience with working in community and government organizations here.
Okay. First of all, I want to say, you know, there's been a lot going around about government experience and how that plays a role in this city council run, and I really think that that's kind of misleading, because solid leadership and good decision making don't come from prior government experience. You know, we had prior government experience in the halls of the city council already, and prior government experience didn't make for a positive environment. It didn't necessarily move things forward. However, good sound judgment does move things forward, and focusing on that, in my opinion, does the taxpayer of this community a huge disservice. I think what we need to be focusing on is who's actually qualified to be a good leader, who's actually qualified to be a good team player and create a team environment. I think those are the things that we need to be focusing on. But that being said, my community service, I serve with the Rotary Foundation, or the Rotary Club here in Ottumwa, whose focus is service. Again, I work at Tenco, whose primary focus is to service those who are disabled in pretty much all areas of life. I served on the Southern Iowa Immigration Board for a little over a year and a half. So, you know, I have a lot of community involvement experience. So, but again, you know, I think that we need to focus on who has leadership potential and who is going to bring the most to the table. If we focus solely on who has governmental experience, then we're never going to have new blood in the pool, we're never going to have new ideas, and things just aren't going to change. So
let's talk about your top 3 priorities and concerns for Ottumwa.
Okay, first of all, financial. You know, we have some financial issues coming in Ottumwa. You know, the beach. The beach is arguably one of our biggest money concerns right now. It's been losing money. It's set to lose a $250,000 or so this year. That's a problem. It needs a couple $1 million in renovations. That's a problem. There was, you know, and until recently, there hasn't been much done to stop that bleed. So we've got to lay everything out on the table. We've got to find a problem or a solution to this problem, because if we don't, then this is going to haunt us for a long time. So I think that's one of our issues that we need to focus on. And we need to remember that this is a quality of life for Ottumwa, but it also contributes to the overall economy in Ottumwa. People from neighboring communities come in here, bring their children to enjoy the beach, and while they're here, they're eating in our restaurants, they're shopping at our stores. So it isn't just a quality of life issue for the city of Ottumwa, and it's not just a taxpayer issue. Other businesses are indirectly relying on that beach being open, so we need to make sure that we're doing what we can to manage the facility correctly, get it back where it needs to be, and make it run. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you know, we have budget cutbacks coming. Some examples that I could lay out of things that we've got coming in the future. We got a couple fire trucks that need replaced in this town. We got several city buildings that are in need of repair. And we've got to do this all while maintaining the human resources of this community and maintaining the services that we already are obligated to. So we needed to be really creative in our approach to make sure that we have the funds available to do this. Secondly is the economy. We do have some positive things going on. We have Plastipac that's getting ready to come to Ottumwa. We have some new retail growth here in Ottumwa. We're starting to see some niche businesses in the downtown market. We need to keep that momentum going and grow so we can expand that tax base so we don't have to continue to carry the burden that the city has right now, because with the budget cuts that are coming, we need to do everything that's possible to make sure that we're spreading it out a little bit more and we can continue to grow and take care of the services that we have to. Lastly, I think, is our image as a community. I have been around long enough to know that people do have the perception that this is just one of those other river communities, and it's not. We have a lot of great things going on in this town, but we need to make sure that we're presenting ourselves in the best light that we can, which means we need to do a little bit of rebranding in this community. We need to make sure that every exit that you're coming into Ottumwa looks as good as it can. We need to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. There are other communities just like Ottumwa that have done a great job of rebranding themselves over the last few years, and they've monopolized on their riverfront and taken that river town quality and said, yes, we are a river town, and look what we're doing with it. We're making the most out of it. We're focusing all of our efforts into making sure that everything around there is beautiful, and we're putting business there. It's a area where people gather. So we need to make sure that we're doing that as well.
So let's talk about the housing situation. You mentioned the economic development. You're getting jobs coming here, which is a good thing. But without places for people to live, it can be tough to collect those tax dollars.
Absolutely.
So how do we address that housing situation here in Ottumwa?
Well, housing is one of the big issues here for sure. Most of our housing market is aged. 75% of our housing market was built before 1960. So that leaves for us not being able to keep up with the current market trends. That's an issue. Our rentals. We don't have rentals that are available for mid to upper class folks. But you can't just address the housing issue without addressing other things. People aren't willing to come to a community where the housing, number one, is old, but where there's a stagnant job market, where the education system isn't up to par, which, we have a great education system, but there's still work that needs to be done in the school districts taking care of that. But we've got a lot of work to go. So it's a multifaceted problem that we have here. But we've got to go in and make some creative choices. We have to expand the tax abatement for new home ownership. We have to expand the abatement for renovations to homes. We have to build partnerships with companies that do home building. We've got the St. Joe project with Blackbird coming in. I think that's going to be a great asset to this community, because it is going to allow for some of that rental property growth that we need for young professionals that are coming in, or young families that are coming in that need temporary housing while they search for homes. We got the downtown district that they're building the second level apartments in, which again, for young single folks that are moving to Ottumwa for jobs, this will be great. But right now, the way it stands, we are losing a lot of potential tax dollars to people who are using, for example, Oskaloosa and Pella and even Bloomfield as bedroom communities, because they can't find anything here. So that's a really important thing that we need to address.
We talked about some of the bad things that need to be fixed here in Ottumwa, but there are
Mm-hmm.
some good things happening.
Absolutely.
What are some good signs that you see in Ottumwa?
Well, let's look at the quality of life things that we have going on here in Ottumwa. The trail system. The building of the trail system has been an absolutely wonderful thing. You know, it not only gets people out of their homes and they can become more healthy, they can exercise, but also they can get out and socialize, and in some cases see parts of Ottumwa, since you're going through a lot of back areas, that they never got to see before. So I think that's a great thing. To touch on that, you know, we've got the potential for the Riverfront Renaissance, which is going to be fantastic for redeveloping the entire riverfront and some of our park systems. And to the parks, you know, we can't leave out the 2016 Babe Ruth World Series, which will be coming here, which is going to, you know, be monumental for getting people to see Ottumwa, first of all, getting tax dollars into the community. You know, we do things right, and it'll open up more doors for us. And Market on Main. Market on Main has done a great job of bringing people back into downtown. You know, I've been to a lot of these events that Market on Main has put on in the last year, and it amazes me the volume of people that I've seen downtown that I haven't seen downtown in a long time. And obviously the side note to that is a lot of businesses are getting a lot of revenue that they weren't getting before because of Market on Main. So that's fantastic. And again, economically speaking, we got Plastipac coming to town, we got the retail businesses coming to town, so that'll be good. And one thing that personally I think is really important is the cultural growth here in Ottumwa. In the last decade or so, we've seen a huge expansion of the Hispanic population in this town, and it's been wonderful. You know, we've seen not only them assimilate themselves into the community, but we've also seen them. They've opened up several businesses, which has helped the economy, and they've become active city leaders, which is fantastic as well. So, and you know, now we're starting to see some population come in from the eastern side of Africa. So I'm actually excited to see what that brings to us in the next several years, because I would venture to guess that we're going to see a little bit more of the same from what we saw from the Latino population, and that's going to be really good.
You mentioned this a little bit, but let's talk again about some areas you think are a great opportunity for revitalizing here in Ottumwa.
Sure. One of the areas that I think, and this has been a hot topic of discussion for a long time, but I think the airport is a great area for growth. You know, we have several buildings out there that could be utilized for warehousing space, which would create more jobs. We have some land out there that's available for new construction, which would be great for jobs. You know, logistically speaking, the airport is in a perfect location. You know, they're right at the doorstep of the 4-lane highway. So, you know, they're in a perfect spot for that sort of business. We just need to market that and bring some of that business into town and grow the business that's already out there. You know, there's been talk of the runway expansion, which would draw revenue in, and that's something that we should probably look at pursuing here in the next several years. Again, I mentioned the downtown district. You know, there's a lot of growth that could be happening in the downtown district, and you're starting to see some of that now. But you know, one of the things that I really would like to see over the coming years is linking the north end of town to downtown. For example, we have an entire population of college students that it's a little difficult for them to get to downtown Ottumwa to spend what money they do have, create a little bit of buzz around the downtown, because the only way they can really get here is drive. So and other communities have actually done this, and it's been very successful for them. So having a way for them to get downtown via bike or you know, being able to walk down here without having to walk on the streets to get here would be amazing. The Church Street area. South Ottumwa Savings Bank has done a great job of making that corner look fantastic, but we need to expand on that to make the rest of Church Street, do a little bit of renovation like we're in the middle of doing with the Main Street right now, and bring more business. It might be niche business, but bring more business to that street. The advantage to having that is for folks that, for example, are going to the beach or going to Bridgeview Center. If they have both sides of the business district opened up, they can park one time and visit businesses on both sides of the bridge. So there's a really good strategic advantage to making sure that we take care of the Church Street business. So I think that that's an area that's really important. And again, back to transportation, our sidewalk system in Ottumwa. We got the trail system to go around the river, but to actually navigate the city of Ottumwa in some places, that's not the easiest thing to do because our sidewalk system hasn't been fully developed. We do have most of it developed, but there are some certain key areas where we could use some good development of our sidewalks. And finally, I think one of the areas that we need to focus on in this town is the signage coming into town. I know that this has been worked on for a couple of years now, but nobody's done anything about it. And that's one of the things that I really think needs to change, because we've got to remember, not only do we have tourists coming from out of town, but we've also got people that we need to market to that are coming into town on a daily basis to try to recapture those folks, and we're not doing a good job of that. A prime example is our signage coming in from South 63 from Bloomfield isn't really the greatest, and we have thousands of cars a week coming in from the south part of the state. So the signage and marketing, this all goes back to the branding of the community. We really need to do a better job of branding ourselves.
All right, that's all I have for you. Anything else you'd like to add or something you'd like to say?
Well, I think that we had a pretty good turnout for the October primary, and I'm hoping first and foremost that everybody gets out and votes. Voting is an extremely important part of the democratic process, and if you want your voice to be heard, you need to make sure that you're getting out to vote. It's really not time consuming. It's really simple. Just educate yourself on the candidates and get out there and vote. And by all means, I would appreciate it if everybody voted for me. But what's most important is everybody gets active in the process and goes out and votes. Again, we got a lot of things coming up in the future, and we need to make sure that we have the right people so we can go in so we can move Ottumwa forward in a positive manner and as a one Ottumwa, and not continue down the road that we've been going.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time and coming in and speaking with me.
Thank you for having me.